Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman.
And welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. I'm so grateful today to be with you and to share with you some secrets around one-to-one sales and how to increase those sales. What have I learned from thousands of sales enrollment calls? Mine are often through energy scans I offer to people initially. But what have I learned through that and also coaching lots of people over the years? Definitely hundreds of people over the years on all their cases and their folks that they're trying to enroll into their programs. What have I learned about it all? What can allow you to thrive in a way that makes you feel really good and brings your work out into the world and has you really value yourself in the way that you would love to be valuing yourself? We're going to get into it in just one moment. Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate, Make Money meditation today. Okay, so how are we going to accomplish this to increase our one-to-one sales in a way that, most people aren't out there talking about all these things. Maybe you sort of heard about them. Most of you probably haven't heard of the things I'm going to say in a sort of detail or perspective that I'm going to talk about. There may be some things too that are more common, but I'm just using this time together, this podcast, to sort of riff with you and to tell you, like, after 17 years in this field, what have I learned being a sales trainer, being someone who helps other people as their sales whisperer and more, to allow them to increase their sales and also to be able to take prospects that generally are fit to go from absolutely no to a yes, not because they were too pushy or anything like that, but they joyfully come in and then they become really good clients. What have I learned? How can you increase those sales and not keep having to hear, I don't have any money, it's not the right time, I need to meditate on, I need to talk to my spouse or partner, I need to wait till Mercury's out of retrograde, I need to wait for the. How do we deal with all these things? What can you do about all these things and to allow yourself to prosper more? Okay, so we're going to get into that, but first I want to give you, because I really want to be as a public service to people wanting to increase their one sales, is I'm going to start sharing with you today some of the foundational things that perhaps you want to pay attention to that are going to help you with your overall sales. There's so many levels of sales to take a look at. We've got who you are, who are you, who are you, how are you designed? There's human design, there's and then if we look at like your hands and your fingerprints, and we look at your eyes, we look at your feet, you're designed in a certain way, bottom line, without even needing necessarily to reference any one system. But we have so many different aspects around ourselves that are unique to us. So the idea of only one solitary approach working completely off of a script, especially like a fully scripted sort of thing, working universally for everybody, or approaching your sales process like anybody else out there that just happens to be successful, that you're like, hey, okay, cool, I'll do your sales process, and then it doesn't work. First you have to start with you, like foundationally, how do you operate? Are you more of a relationship type of person? Are you someone who wants to just get the job done fast and bring your service or your work into somebody's life as a coach, a healer, a trainer, etc.? Because that's most of you. The rest of you probably can glean many great things from this podcast as well if you have other sorts of businesses. But whatever the business is, most of you are in a service-oriented business to help other people. How can you align yourself with who you truly are and operate in a way that's an integrity for you, that feels amazing and doesn't lead to lack of sales or no sales, or feeling like you got to chase people for them to become customers, or getting exhausted and burned out and just sick of it all and just giving it all up, etc. So you have to know you. Again, there's all different types of ways of approaching sales. You could be by referral only type of person. Maybe you need to get out there a little bit. You introduce yourself to some people here and there, and as a few of those people you're introduced to come your way, you tell them I'm by referral only. So if you happen to know people that might be a good fit for my services, after hopefully you describe it well, which is a big key. These are all kind of the commonplace things at that next level. Do the commonplace things, describe your service well, and then you can structure them strategically and energetically to where people will want to refer. The first thing is you have to be energetically connected. It's through intention. So the second key is intention, being intentional. Are you being intentional about whatever process you're using? Having trust and faith. Yes, this process is working because I love this process. I'm in love with the process of sharing my work with the world. And I'm in love with this process of sharing my love, my gifts, etc., with the world. That's all key as part of who you are. And then being intentional, focus the intention, not letting your split mind or ego to take over and have you feel like you've got to do it some other way that doesn't resonate for you, that doesn't suit you. Now, it's possible you could be resisting doing sales in a way that could be really good for you, you enjoy. That is possible. So there's difference between two, who you are and what really aligns for you, and you're, resisting who you are. Like you can resist who we are. So believe it or not, we have that magical ability. So really knowing who you are and then being intentional about your sales are just like those foundational things. A lot of people don't think about being intentional. Instead, they're thinking in terms, and then some people say intentions don't work. But if you're really clear, it's more of a knowing. What doesn't work with intentions is when you're trying to believe, something that you believe is a lie and keep repeating it to yourself. Well, now you just keep believing it's a lie. But if you're intentional as though you're claiming something from a field of intentionality, that alone can increase your sales, because you'll be like, I'm getting 2 new clients this week. Okay. And you're just clear. Just as clear. Now, if it doesn't happen, you're completely fine as well. Like, okay, I don't care if it doesn't happen, that's okay. And I always use, I like to use other examples other than sales sometimes to drive these points home. I have had intentions like that in sales, like August is going to be my best month. Everybody says August is a bad month, and then I have it be my best month because it's meant so much to me to have it be a better month, to demonstrate the nonsense a lot of people say about certain months of the year. I've done it in December before. Or I'll say, okay, I'm going to make this new offer in the marketplace and it's going to be great. And I'm going to start signing people up. It's going to go like gangbusters. When I feel the energy's there and I'm intentional about it, then it happens, right? And there's been many times when I haven't done that and the results obviously aren't as good. So these are 2 keys right here. Where does the intention flow from, which may come to another key, a more foundational key, is really just tuning in to what really lights you up, what really lights you up. That's how you can tell if something's connected with who you are, if it's a true intention or not. Make sure you take the time to meditate, settle in, tune in, even throughout the day, tuning in. What am I being guided and oriented to? Your mind might say, oh, it'd be smart to do this today. But then there's a current of energy that makes everything effortless. It has the experience of often being effortless. And if you don't resist it and you keep going with it, you'll experience miracles of new opportunities and new sales in your business. So follow the intuitive flow, I suppose, would be one of the other foundational keys. So these are, there's more and more. Perhaps I will have a forthcoming book. I definitely have a forthcoming opportunity that I'm considering offering to you at the time of the airing of this recording. And if it's happening right now, you'll see in the link below, I will be offering a class, a wonderful class, perhaps a master class or an invitation now or in the future for you to learn even more about how to navigate your sales. Like if we were to focus on any one of these pillars, it would increase your sales. And if we focus on all of them, we exponentially can begin to raise your sales. Now, one of the things I do as a channel intuitive business mentor is to align and alchemize people's energies so they can actually be who they are. Because if you're not being who you are, then your life isn't working, sales aren't working, at least not as well as they could be. And so the alchemization helps you to get ignited. My client base, I find, are very spiritual, nice people, heart-centered people that need a little more grit. They need a little bit more fire, a little bit more steel. Now, it's possible there'll be somebody who it doesn't fit that. Maybe they need to soften. That's always possible. But most of the people that I work with, they're high achieving, light leaders who are often more new in business or been in business a shorter period of time, a year or two, maybe probably at the most often. And I help them to build their sales, from these foundations and getting into all the details, the marketing, the message, all sounds complicated in the mind, but it's all very simple. It's just one little step at a time, and they all stack together to keep increasing your sales. And any one focus, any one thing can immediately increase your sales. That's why I say, keep tuning in here to this podcast today. And always keep tuning in here because you get these nuggets, any nugget could ignite you and at least give you that next level, an increase. So yes, you have to be you. Like for me, for example, like even doing these podcasts, I could sit down, I could have detailed notes, and perhaps I do that sometimes. There are podcasts I have more notes, there are presentations where I have more notes. Then there's days like today, I'm like, I'm just going to share this wisdom. I'm going to share this wisdom, things I've been teaching for a long time, start diving into them and helping people realize how much easier it could be to have more sales, whereas their brain are looking at all these systems and concepts on how to do marketing and how you're going to get there eventually, when you could just start having more sales today. That's why we always advertise, for example, meditate and make money. It employs one of the principles I just talked about, intuitive flow. It puts you in that intuitive flow. So again, I probably already shared a commercial perhaps in this podcast. You go to my website, yoursacredpurpose.com, you're going to find that meditate, make money meditation that puts you into that energy that allows you to get your own answers and attunes you to more sales. And it's, I don't have a large N number of like evidence back because I'm not surveying all the people that listen to it, but the few dedicated people that listen to a regular basis report, there are definitely increasing their sales as a result. So there you go. Employ that third one right away with the free meditate and make money meditation. All right. So let's go on. So I've got some foundational things that were already shared with you. So that's one segment, just, your beingness, your mindset, your energy. That's a bit of it. And then let's take a look more on a strategic level. Again, these are going to be more the basics, then I'll get into some secrets, right? Some secrets, more hidden knowledge from all my experience. So your offers. Okay. So if one-to-one sales are often one-to-one to go into one-to-one work with you, or it could be one-to-one to go into something else. It could be a mastermind. It could be some other kind of group or even a membership. Some people might do a one-to-one call that see if people want to be in it, or they call what, high ticket or high value, group program. Those are some of the most common ones. I suppose there's VIP days, which is one-to-one basically, or group VIP. There's so many different ways to offer your goodness to the world. So one-to-one conversations, even it could even be to get booked as a keynote, things like that. So many different ways that we do sales on a one-to-one basis, and mastering that process requires you to have what first? You have to have a clear offer. What's your offer to whoever you're talking to? It's got to be clear enough. It's got to be clear enough, one level or another. Now, there's I am great at like finding all the exceptions, right? So if you're like, wait a minute, one time I just got on a call with someone. I just made up an offer on the spot, but it was clear enough, the energy and the intent and the connection with them, that they wanted to work with you, right? But what increases sales, I find for most people anyway, is to have very specific offers, knowing that if you want to improvise and come up with other offers, you could. Do you have a specific offer? Do you have confidence in it? Do you feel like really turned on by your offer? Like, well, I'm 11 out of 10, million% for this offer, and how, how I'll be working with these people, and how much it's going to help them with their health or their business or their money or their purpose or their awakening or, their relationships or what have you. Like, do I feel really strongly about it? That has to be in place to increase the sales the most. Now, if you're lukewarm, maybe you'll get sales still, but it's going to be harder because you're not that on fire about it. How do I know? From my own trials, and again, from all the people I've worked with. When I've had offers, I'm like, oh yeah, well, this is a good thing. This would be a good thing for you. And I'm like a 7 or 8 out of 10 with the offer, forget about it. These days, as I'm doing, probably at the time, the airing of this, I'm doing maybe more of a small group leverage sort of model. Maybe I have a sales group going, or energy scan group going, or whatever it might be when you're listening to this. Someone learning how to tune in kind of group is what the energy scanning, whatever it might be. It's like, it's because I felt really connected and inspired for that offer at that time. So you got to make sure you're on fire, really connected to your offers, or your potential clients will not be. Again, these are like that. Again, this is sort of it's talked about, but it's not talked about enough how important that is. Like, a lot of times people are like, yeah, just get a smart offer that speaks to your audience and their pain points, and that's the usual talking. Are they turned on? Let's survey them. Let's see what they want. Just meet all their needs. And it doesn't matter what you feel. As long as they want it, then it'll be all good. Yeah, but if you're not into it, no matter how much you might be speaking to pain points, what they want, yes, that is a huge factor. And at the same time, guess what? It may not completely resonate, because the way your offer is not going to resonate for them. They'll say, yeah, I get it. Like, you're totally right. I want to make this change in my life, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm not getting to do this with you. That often could be because your offer is not correct for you. So to give to them, to how you were doing it, what the energy is behind it. So that has to be strong. You just have to be very strong in that. And then if you want repeat clients, a big thing that's out, it's not a big secret, but again, it's not talked about a lot in the marketplace. Everybody's like, get those clients. I want to get X clients this month. And we're constantly hunting for these new clients. And that's great. That's fun. There could be an ongoing thing that a lot of businesses want to operate that way. That I see that's great for growth. So, but one of the things that's neglected, I think, sometimes is think about client retention. In the transformational space, especially, people are thinking, well, I'm doing this deep transformation. The faster they get done with me, the better. I'll just, maybe the idea could be I'll charge a lot, I'll get a big transformation, then wish them well and on their way, right? The life cycle of being with these clients is not considered to be too long, and the shorter the better, because there's this whole idea out there, right, that's been out there that I think is a little bit dangerous, is I want to make myself obsolete. I'm going to, fulfill this purpose so much, but that's not likely to happen for most of what you do ever. Somebody always will need your services if you're dealing with a human. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's possible to become obsolete someday, but it's not likely. So forget the idea of making yourself obsolete. If you've got that old mindset people have put out there. It's a lovely, utopian kind of view of life. We're all going to get there eventually and freeze dry it. But the truth is, people probably always will need your services. And the people that, even if you're energy work or you're coaching on specific things, that people start mastering those specific areas of their life or whatever it might be, well, they're going to level up, right? And then once they get to that level, if they want to continue to grow, which would be great for them, that are probably going to want more help to keep growing and expanding. And who will they look to do that with? Who they see as their mentor, their guide, or their coach that they've already seen great results with. Why would they go somewhere else as long as you are ready to continue with them yourself? But if you don't have a mindset of continuing with people and you're not approaching your sales process in a way that, and then how you deliver programs in a way that's conducive for that, you're going to miss out on a lot of repeat customers. And the longer people are repeating with you, the more possibilities for them to refer customers to you will increase, and will increase the number of referrals, will increase the likelihood they'll refer, etc. So you want to be always thinking about that increased business. One of the slightly under talked about, probably way under talked about actually, but really under talked about ways to grow your business is also claiming your value and charging appropriately. So most transformations that you guys bring are life-changing transformations ultimately, right? Of some sort, degree, or nature. What is that worth to somebody? Every single person I've really asked very clearly, how much is your work worth work in terms of the truest value? Well, how much is it worth really? In its true essence, how much is it worth ultimately? And I really press them on the question because I want the absolute truth. When I ask it in that specific way, I'm not looking for a particular answer. They always say priceless. They always say it's priceless. Well, then if it's priceless, then there's no amount of money that really fairly, completely underscores like how valuable it is, then, well, then we could say potentially it's worth a lot more. It could be worth trillions, it could be worth billions, it could be worth millions, it could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars, could be worth whatever. All you need to do is get lined up with your value and what are you going to charge for that particular offer, for that transformation that you're bringing into people's lives. So really getting clear on that value coming from the very top, like the most you could ever imagine ultimately it would be worth, and then how much would you ultimately ever charge, potentially, just as a potential, and then therefore, what does it feel like? It feels really good to be charging. And then it's around aligning your energy and your mindset to stay clear on what you know in the first place, because usually you get the dropped in feeling, oh my God, that's the perfect amount to offer this for. And then as we get into the marketplace and we start talking to people, we're like, oh my God, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. They're not gonna have the money, they're gonna think I'm criminal, I'm charging so much. They're gonna judge me, they're gonna reject me, they're gonna, tar and feather me because of what I charge. No, none of that's gonna happen typically anyway. I mean, you might get tar and feathered every once in a while. And no, I don't think so. What might happen, yeah, somebody might be judgmental. I've had people, no matter what I've charged, people say, whoa, I didn't expect it to be that much. Almost no matter how much I've charged, whether it was what would be considered less or a lot more. So that's what I've found. It's another secret is no matter how much you charge, there's going to always be people that think it's too much or that it's too little as well. But because there are people that look at offer and sneer at it, their ego will sneer at it and say, well, boy, who are you? You're not much of an expert because you're not charging very much. So I'll go to the people that charge way more than you do, because I assume they'll bring better results. That's still prevalent. It's a subconscious thing. If I'm putting more down, it must be more valuable. So do you want your services or your product, even if you're selling a product, but you're probably not doing that through a one-to-one sales conversation, usually, this is not a focus, is do you want to be perceived as higher value or lower value? It's a no-brainer. You want it to be higher value, right? So these, again, of course, I can talk for hours on this. Any nugget, just really getting clear about any of these nuggets I share can completely change your business the impact you're having, change your life, change other people's lives. So just, even if you take one of these things as I continue here a little bit longer, if you take even one of these things and apply it, I'm telling you, you get clear about, implementing something I'm saying, it's going to change things for you. And I would love to hear about it. Be sure to tell me about it, because I'd love to just hear the breakthroughs that happen for people. So one of the concerns with sales, any kind of sales, is, especially in this space here at Spiritual Rockstar, is will I be seen as not heart-centered, loving, and kind enough if now we talked about the charging thing. That could be one thing. Wow, I charge too much. People don't see me. You're not about love, brother or sister. You're about the money. You can say, yeah, I'm about the love and I'm about the money. I'm about the money for me and for everyone. I'm all about money. Absolutely. I'm all about the love. I'm all about everything, right? So that's a good rebuttal for your mind that's freaking out. The split mind again says either this or it's that. No, it can be both. It can be all of it. Those that don't think, no, only a true spiritual teacher does everything for free. Give me a break. Eckhart Tolle, like the Dalai Lama's got plenty of cash coming his way. He may not personally use it all. I don't know. I don't know either way with him. But there's Neil Donald Walsh. There's so many, Wayne Dyer. There's been so many true spiritual teachers, and I think are true spiritual teachers. I think Michael Beckwith does okay. I mean, I don't know, but there's so many true spiritual teachers that I'm sure are doing very well financially. I'm not looking at their books, but they seem to be doing quite well financially. They take in lots of money. Just an old idea, just an old outdated idea. So, but there's this idea that doesn't connect spirituality and money, and therefore you'll soften yourself in a sales process. And then also a people-pleasing thing. You'll be a people pleaser in the process of the sales process. So if you offer discovery calls, or if you're doing a reading with someone, or however you lead people into the promised land of your services and what you do, you're likely to go into more of a yin mode. And one of the things that gets to be an issue with this idea of yin sales is, and 5D sales, I've talked about 5D sales. I've decided to stop talking about 5D sales because people, or even heart-centered sales almost gets to be an issue, because people don't realize you have to be fierce sometimes. You have to seem like you're being not spiritual. You have to seem like you're not being 5D enough or multidimensional enough. There are times for it. I've enrolled people in almost like the blink of an eye into like a retreat or something, or other services too, just because they felt my frequency and they're like, yes, I want to work with you. That happens, but it's not all the time. It's not something that will happen all the time. Some people always will need a little bit more encouragement, a little bit more support. Look at it as support when you're selling. You're helping to sell them out of their BS around why they can't do it, or why it might not be a fit yet, or why they might not want to change. And you're helping them realize that they do want to change, because deep down inside they do. And deep down inside, more times than not, probably, who knows what the percentage is, they probably do want to work with you. They probably do have the time. They probably do have the ability to have the resources to work with you in many cases. But they're in their mind, they can't see it. But part of your job as a coach or a guide or whoever you are is to help them to see the possibilities in life, right? So you have to educate them. Okay, I understand you're afraid and you've made a vow you'll never borrow another cent from credit card or anything else. Yet and still, here we are and you have this opportunity. Are you going to stay doggedly with an old commitment you made based on, I don't know what? Like, often people have made these commitments just because they thought they made all these mistakes and that got them in trouble, and that's why they borrowed money, and that was all wrong, and they have all these judgments. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay to use other people's money to up your transformational vibrancy and or your results or specific results as well as in the process of your life or whatever, however you help people. So it's okay. And if they own a business and you're a B2B sort of, solopreneur helping another solopreneur or a small, or a small, basically a solopreneur with a team helps you contractors and whatnot. Yeah, you still consider that more or less a solopreneur in most cases. So, you're helping other businesses through with their sales or whatever it might be. Uh, you've got like the actual business ROI. Okay. The whole college education thing is a pretty cool, way of talking about it. I've never used that one, quite frankly, to help people understand like they need to invest. Like, hey, you don't expect, to go to college and not pay for it, right? Like, you need to go to college because it's going to grow, it's going to expand you, it's going to give you more opportunities. Well, that's the same thing that his program is going to do, only way better. And it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? That whole kind of line. And that you always take out loans for that. And it's a normal thing. And for me, one hasn't resonated as much, but it's one valid one to perhaps use if it resonates for you. For me, especially if it's a B2B kind of situation where I'm helping someone in their business, it's like, especially if they're in the startup phase, I'm like, listen, every single business that's ever become highly successful, for the most part, has had to borrow money and feel like they're in deficit mode until they get into the abundance and the savings and the investments that they're able to do afterwards, right? Not always, but the vast majority, okay? The vast majority of people use loans and credit, et cetera, to be able to get there. And, how do I know? I've worked with so many people, and then, man, I don't know. I've interviewed definitely over, I don't know, hundreds or 1,000 or more spiritual entrepreneurs, and many, and I've spent time with many more than that. And I hear and then I've heard so many success stories, and usually you always hear about how they were broke and almost bankrupt, and they had borrowed so much money. And often those are the people that make the biggest impact because they're willing to take it that deeply, right? They're willing to take it all the way, even past a million light years past, psychologically past where they thought they should have stopped. They kept going, and then they had super abundance and super impact through their work in the world. And people have new ideas all the time. Some people say, well, I don't want to do it that way, or I'm having a new idea. That's the old ways of doing things. And yeah, but honestly, there's some universal kind of truths is like, do you trust? Are you committed enough? And that's one of the ways you can demonstrate to yourself that you're committed enough is you're willing to face really what isn't an issue, which is like I'm borrowing this money, and facing it, embracing it, moving forward anyway, and then trusting the superabundance will come even when it's not coming. That is a great spiritual journey because, in fact, you're really lacking nothing ever the whole time. There's nothing to be upset about, whoever's providing the funds. Oh, they're evil, those credit cards, or all the ideas. Like, come on, how evil are they ultimately? I mean, I don't know. Like, they're look at it as them, your helpers. A lot of it's perception. So you could look at it that way, or you could say, man, they're really going to help me out. Or, or if you get a loan from a bank, I've had people do my programs and they go get an actual business loan. That's something that's not talked about or thought about a lot in this realm. So you can actually get a business loan to get a program to help you build your business. So you get a coach. We're only barely scratching the surface of what I could share with you, in this vast topic of sales. The last thing I'm going to share today, I'll leave you with this, is just know this: when you're on those one-to-one sales calls, yes, you have to identify what pain they want to be done with. So if they're looking for inner peace, they want to clear the stress and feeling like they're never okay enough, right? So if you're looking for inner peace, that's what's the opposite of it. If they say whatever they say is, if they're not saying what their pain point is, then just what's the opposite of it, right? Or they're just talking about all their pain. What's the opposite of the pain they're talking about? So when you can have them realize that they're ready for both to clear the pain and also to have the benefits, the sale in essence can be made, upfront. And the fact, if you do a good job of guiding them, helping them understand what's really going on for them and really what they want, helping them make that choice. We call that's what sales really is when done correctly. I mean, the sales nobody wants to do is lying, cheating people out of money, or getting super ultra aggressive and overtaking people or shaming people or scaring them to death. But it's not that. It's just getting really real with people. Is what I've often called it awakened sales, right? But I've even sort of backed off that phrase too, because I had people like, oh yeah, the spiritual energy, we don't have to get too strong in our energy. We just be really wispy and just have fun and just be in our heart and everything works. And then your sales aren't as much as you desire often. So we got to bring the fire and steel into our conversation sometimes not at all. It's just the opposite. We would need to be softer. We need to be more yin. So it's it's a dance. It's a dance with the energy of what's called for right now, and dancing with that energy, pointing out what needs to be addressed. So, and then ultimately, the part of what I wanted to share before we wrapped up is you have to be willing to take an uncompromising stance for people's, greatness or what's possible for them. Got to take an uncompromising stand for them, because if they go into, I just can't trust, I can't do it, I can't make this investment, I just can't do it. They're not breaking through. If you truly believe you can help them, you've got to do it. Like I've said forever, this one example, perhaps I need to pull some more examples where this has happened. I'll give you two quick examples. One, I took a stand for somebody and went on and on and on and stayed with them in a one-to-one conversation till they signed up. And then they also had a panic attack right after. And guess what? You'd think that was horrible, right? They went on to have incredible success coming off of welfare, drugs, etc. Another case, just through the years, just a couple of different cases where I really took an extra stand for somebody where they just weren't going to move forward, but I had to bring the house, so to speak, to bring them forth, to keep seeing their greatness, to keep seeing the opportunity for them. And then continue to do that as a work with. No, I see the opportunity. I don't know if I can see. I can see it. And then eventually they can say, oh, I see it now, right? Because you're shifting their consciousness so they can see how their marriage could work, or how they could see they could leave the marriage, or how they could see how their health could improve, and they can let go of the crappy ways of the past, their old patterns with health, or or they can trust that the guides are there for them, they can channel them, or whatever it is you teach them about. And you have to hold that ground for them until they're willing to know it for themselves. I could say believe, but ultimately it's like they just know, right? When somebody's when it's really dropping in, they just know it. I know this is meant to happen now. I know it. So you get them to a place of knowing. Ultimately, you can do it even in one conversation. Get them to a place of knowing. Now, they may come off that knowing afterwards, because just one round often isn't enough for them to stay there, but sometimes it is. And it changes their life right on the spot. That you could transform someone's life right on the spot through a one-to-one enrollment sort of call, whatever you're calling it. So just keep that in mind. Therefore, taking an uncompromising stance for the possibility and for the opportunity when you feel that, when you see it for them, and you feel in your heart of hearts that you are meant to help them. Now, if you don't feel that and you push through it and your intuition totally screaming at you, don't go that way, that's a different story. But more times than not, people are just beginning to do those kind of calls. Often I tell them just practice taking it to the nth degree. And once they seem to be coming on board, if you need to back off and be like, hey, I actually, as you're starting to say yes to this, let's just double check and see if this is really a good fit. And I would advise them then to say, you know what, as I tune in, I'm so glad that you're willing to work with me, but I'm starting to wonder if it's a good fit. Maybe we shouldn't do this. And then give them the chance to back out and you to back out too, because it should be a two-way fit, especially if it's one-to-one. And then to take that side, because most people will be like, oh, it didn't feel good, so that must be my intuition. And it's just your biggest fear is you're going to rip someone off. They won't get the goods is one of the common fears, or that you didn't let them choose, that you commandeered them somehow. They were this horrible salesperson, or you'll go on and on, they'll reject you, and you'll feel like, oh my God, I exhausted myself, and now they're just saying no anyway. So on that last one, listen, if you feel like you're exhausting yourself and it's going nowhere, at some point, and you don't feel in your heart of hearts that it's going to go anywhere, then you drop it. You just, okay, you're done. Don't worry about it. Because there's a good chunk of people you'll talk to on these calls, especially if you don't highly vet them up front, that will just not be a fit. So let them go. Forget about this. Don't get too crazy about your closing rates and stuff. It's more about the connection rate. It's more about, looking at that and the transformational rate and people wanting to continue to evolve and grow overall. And, if you like repeat business, continue to do it with you. Okay. One last little tip for you before I run off is keep thinking about your existing client base and how you can serve them more. A lot of opportunity and money is lost in businesses when you're not willing to spend more time thinking about how you can sell even more to your existing client base. Many of you are in a lack mindset thinking, oh, they wouldn't buy more now. They're already doing this thing with me. They're not going to spend more money. No, there's quite a few people that will. And it's a huge opportunity sitting right in front of you. So make sure you don't miss those opportunities. All right. Oh my God. Yeah. But how do you handle it when people say, I don't have the time, I don't have the money? Again, take that uncompromising stance for their possibilities and what's possible, and just watch miracles happen. People come on board that you'll swear we're not going to come on board, and that it can work out really well afterwards. So, all right, everybody. I'm so grateful to share with you. Again, we're only scratching the surface through a podcast like this, but I hope you gain some inspiration. Hope you begin to implement some of the things I've shared. If you want the opportunity to gain so much more, you can reach out to me at yoursacredpurpose.com. And I'm always looking for high achieving type of people that are light leaders. Maybe you have achieved a lot in your light leading business. I do work with people like that as well. But I particularly am working with people a little bit younger into the business that have been high achieving in another business or a career or whatever. And now they're into building this particular transformational business they have. If that's you, or if you just feel like you want more support from me, because I have a number of different possibilities for you to work with your energy, your business, etc., just go ahead and get an energy scan with me. You go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your Rock Your Sacred Purpose Energy Scan consultation. Read your energy. We'll talk about your sales, your business, how can things expand right now, and start bringing into fruition right away. Even right off the consult, you'll have new insights, new ideas that will strengthen you and can increase your sales right away. So, all right, so if you want more, go to yoursacredpurpose.com, get that Rock Your Sacred Purpose Energy Scan consultation only if you're ready to rock. And of course, you can get my meditation there, Meditate, Make Money, that I mentioned earlier in the podcast. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to wrap it up there. Like I always say, keep on tuning in, and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time.
Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.